For today's video, I'm going to be using a couple things. So first off, I'm going to be using Blanket Yarn by Bernard Yarn, and I'm going to use stuffing a 6J cat using normal yarn, and this is just a request I've gotten ever since then. Another thing is I'm going to be using an 8mm for this part, and then I'm only going to use a 6.5 for the once you see that X, you're going to flip over until you see 2 lines, and then you're going to grab your hook. Once you have this done, you're going to chain 2, 1 and 2 through, yarn over, go inside the ring, grab the yarn, and then pull all the way through. One more time, just yarn over, go inside the ring, grab the yarn, and pull all the way through. And now I'm going to repeat this until I have a total of 10 stitches. If you're a beginner, I recommend using a stitch marker and placing it in the first stitch. That way you don't get lost and it's easier to track. Once you have your 10 stitches, you're going to pull away and you're going to close the magic ring. Then you're going to tie it off. And now for the second row, you're going to crochet over this tail. For the second row, you're going to increase every stitch. So you're just going to go into the first stitch, make sure you're crocheting over this tail, and then you're going to slip stitch and then chain 2, 1 and 2. After you've chained 2, you're going to add 2 half double crochets in every stitch until you have a total of 20 stitches. So again, yarn over, go inside the stitch, grab the yarn and pull all the way through, yarn over, go inside the stitch, grab the yarn and pull all the way through. So repeat adding 2 half double crochets in every stitch for the rest of this row. Once you finish your second row, you're going to slip stitch into the first stitch and chain 2 again, 1 and 2. And for this row, you're going to increase a spot. So here's 1 half double crochet and 2 half double crochet. Next stitch, you're only going to add 1 half double crochet. And then in the second stitch, you're going to add 2 in the same spot. And you're going to repeat this pattern for the rest of this row. Once your third row is done, you're going to slip stitch and chain 2 again, 1 and 2. And for the fourth row, we're going to increase every 2 stitches. So in the first 2 stitches, you're only going to add 1 half double crochet. And then in the third stitch, you're going to add 2 in the same spot. So in the first 2 stitches, you're only going to add 1 half double crochet. And then in the third stitch, you're going to add 2 in the same spot. And you're going to repeat this for the rest of this row. Once your fourth turn is done, you're going to slip stitch and chain 2 for the fifth row, 1 and 2. And this is going to be our last increasing row. So for this row, you're going to increase every 3 stitches. So in the first 3 stitches, you're simply just going to add 1 half double crochet. And then on the fourth stitch, you're going to add 2 in the same spot. On the fourth stitch, you're going to add 2 in the same spot. And now you're going to repeat this for the rest of this round. My fifth row is done and my base measures roughly 7 inches. Now I'm going to do normal rounds of half double crochets with no increases until it reaches my eyebrows. This could be more or less depending on your preference, but I'm going to do this until I have a total of 8 rows. And once I finish that, I'll come back. Currently, I have 8 rows total, and this leaves about 1 inch above my eyebrows. And obviously, if you think that's too much, you can also add an extra row. But keep in mind that we're going to make a big opening for our face, that you can also add a single crochet round to close it off a little bit more if that's something you're until I reach the stitch marker. And once I finish that, I'll come back. Once you reach your stitch marker, you're going to completely ignore this part, and now we're going to go back and forth until we reach a little bit underneath our chin, and then later on we're going to join it to itself again. But to do that, you're going to chain and let you know how many rows I did. I've currently made enough rows where I reached the bottom of my chin, and now I'm going to close it off with itself, and then I'm done with the base of the hat. But obviously you can alter this to your liking, and you can do more or less rows and play with it until it's the perfect fit for you. So to close it off, I'm going to make a chain length of 10 instead of 20, because when I do a chain length of 20, it tends to sag a little bit, and I personally don't like that. So when I do a chain 10, it's perfect. It's not too tight and it's not too loose, and it's just perfect for me. So now I'm going to make a chain length of 10, and then I'm going to attach it to the other side. And once you have that, you're going to grab the other side and you're going to slip stitch and then chain 2, 1 and 2. After you've done this, you're just going to make a regular part. You're simply just going to do half double crochets like normal, and then slip stitch and chain 2 for the second row. Personally, I don't like this rough edge, so I'm just going to add a round of single crochets, and then I'm going to use the loose ends to tie it off together with this one. I'm going to grab a corner, and then I'm just going to feed my yarn through and make it long enough so I can crochet over this one, and then once I'm done, I'll use the other tail to tie it off with this one. Once I finish that, I'll come back. I just finished my single crochet round, and now I'm going to tie these loose ends together, and I'm simply just going to go underneath a stitch and bring this forward, and then I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other side. Once you bring the tails forward, you're going to tie it off with itself and do a couple knots and then tie it off. Once the base is done, we're going to do the little bumps, and then we're going to stuff them. And personally, I like to cut a very long tail, that way I can sew this on to the hat. This is the only part of the pattern that I'm going to be using a 6.5 for. You can use an 8mm for this part, but the holes might be a little bit big and the stuffing might be a little bit see-through, which is why I like to use a smaller hook for this part. So for this part, once your 8 single crochets are done, you're going to pull the tail, and then like before, you're simply just going to tie stitch. So I'm going to end up having 16 single crochets. So you're going to slip stitch and chain 1, and then add 2 single crochets in every spot until you have 16 total. Once you finish that, rows 3 through 6, they're just going to be regular. Finish, you're going to grab a little bit of stuffing and just stuff them together, and now the little bumps are ready for the placement. So for the placement of this, you're basically going to try this on and play around with it until you see something that you personally like. But personally, what I did is that I placed them 5 rows back and also lined up with the face hole. So you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 together. So to sew this on, you're going to grab a tapestry needle and you're going to fold the yarn in half, and you're basically just going to shimmy your way down until it's inside of the hook. I like to go in every stitch, that way it's secure and also stable. So I'm just going to go in and out of every. You're basically going to flip this inside out, and then you're just going to go underneath the stitch and create a loop. Once you have this loop created, you're going to go inside of it and make a knot. So once that's done, you're going to create a loop and then go inside and finish it off. And now you're going to repeat that a couple more times to make sure it's fully secure. Once you've done it a couple times, you're going to poke through and make sure you're leaving through the bump. And once you finish this, you're going to repeat the same thing for the other side, and then you're done. This is the final result, and I think that it came out super